All right. Gannon, Jers, we're back. This American Express week out in the desert. Golf season's officially back because the first bad beats of the season have occurred to your boys. My bad beat really came to fruition on Saturday afternoon as Patty Fish ejected from the tournament, was minus 14, minus 16, won the event. He wasn't able to keep the pedal. They didn't have to keep the pedal down. He just wasn't even able to keep the pedal pressed in any way, shape, or form. You had JJ Spawn. How are you feeling? It's Monday morning.
Yeah, I'm happy we didn't even talk about it off the camera. We just wanted to get the raw thoughts. That one hurt. Got back from Hawaii. My new roommate was there with me watching the golf tournament. He knew the situation, and I had to sweat that. And he was watching, and he was like, "Damn, you must really care about this." I'm like, "Yeah, we're back," and I'm happy I got to feel this because we haven't felt something like this in a while. The fall swing is the fall swing. Obviously, bad beats happen there, and trust me, they happen there. But it just felt like a normal golf sweat, and as much as it did hurt with JJ not being able to pull it out, we're back. We're just back.
Yeah, and we'll talk through what took place at the Sony here momentarily. Yeah, I agree with that though. You know, it's Saturday. Patty Fish got up into the mix for me. He got going Friday afternoon. He was tied for the lead going into Saturday. Got off to a great start. Was playing pretty great golf for the front nine there on Saturday. And I was thinking at the time, because never did I really think that Patty Fishburne was going to be capable of winning the tournament. You know, you guy gets in the lead, you're like, I'd like if he could win the tournament, but you don't really have your hopes up that high, especially with a guy who's never won before, first looking for his first win. But Saturday watching, I was just like, this is nice. Having a sweat, watching the golf, caring about what takes place. You know, I don't think either of us really had anybody in the mix at the Century. So to that point, yeah, it did feel nice to have the feeling of mixing again. Golf is officially now back. We're headed to California. The California swing's upon us, Jers. Before we get into any of that, as always, like and subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube, Spotify, or actually Spotify remains broken. I don't know if it'll ever be fixed. Apple, we've got the link up for the podcast up on the side. We'll figure out Spotify soon enough. But no matter how you're listening to the podcast, if you're enjoying it, give us a 5-star review. Toss a like and subscribe on there. That's a great way to support us. And then obviously, a huge shout out, as always, to the subs over on the site, bitserix.com. It's $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the month. We're off to a great start to the year from a content subscription standpoint. Everything's going awesome. First couple of weeks, obviously, doing boots was great. Now we'll be back to just the normal content grind, normal content schedule. Vincent will be our guiding light from the statistical perspective up on the site. He's crushing us right now in one and done jersey. He's gotten up to a strong start.
Rush yesterday, right?
Yeah. So we've got some work to do. We're this year up on the site. We're doing both a one and done competition. Well, we've got, I think, 3 different competitions. Maybe we'll have more. Currently, it's the preseason one and done. When we went on here preseason, we did our one and done predictions. Vincent also did those. Vincent, the AI, for those who you aren't familiar, he's a new addition to the team. We're competing there. I got to update the stats there. I'm not sure who's got the lead there. I had Colin week 1, so I think I'll probably have the advantage there. We're also doing one and done on a weekly basis up on the site, where Vincent does have a nice head start on us there. He had Ludwig and now Russ. So we'll have to calculate, but I think he's got a big lead there. I'd been on last week. He missed the cut. That's not going to help my chances. And then we're also doing outrights. We're risking 1 point per week to win however much you want to do. You know, you could do 20x multiple, you could do 2x multiple. Everybody can pick and choose. Obviously, we lean into the 7, the 8x multiples, but that's going to be up there as well. Then we've got DP start and live. Maybe we'll get Vincent involved there as well. But there's just a lot of stuff going on the site, and we appreciate everybody who tunes in, subscribes, gets in the Discord, which is also available. Email us at discord@vincerix.com. If you're not in the Discord, you want to get in there, we'll toss you in. We had to change the sign up a little bit to cut down on any spammers getting in the chat. But Jers, that's the before we get started spiel. Anything I missed there? Anything you want to add?
No, as always, the most unique content you will find on in the golf atmosphere. So once you're there, you will grab a week pass. Maybe wait for the week pass for another boots week. But however you're getting on there, you're not gonna leave. It's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. We always do a nice job of retaining subscribers. I think they like the content. They stick around when they join in, and we really appreciate, obviously, everybody.
It's because they get to talk to extended rests in the Discord.
True. LPGA season's around the corner. Extended rest, our boy will be in there making plays. So excited for that. But maybe the most unique thing on the site, Jers, we were texting about this last night, is the dog rankings. And the dog rankings are up for anybody to see. You just go to the site. They're free. You go to the dog rankings. That'll give you the top 50 dog rankings. I need to update them with the changes, which we'll get to in a second, because we do have some changes in the dog rankings after this week. But we're also now on a weekly basis ranking the field top 30 dog rankings. So if you're in the top 50, obviously you maintain your position in the top 50. So for example, last week at the Sony, we go to the dog rankings. We look at the global dog rankings, and number 26 in the world in the global dog rankings is Nick Taylor. That corresponded to, let's see, I believe that was ninth in the field.
Ninth.
Yeah, yep. Ninth in the field in the dog rankings. And if you just look at the dog rankings, there's a lot of guys who are in the mix there, Jers, who are in the dog rankings, in the field dog rankings. Steven Yeager was 25th in the field in the dog rankings. Nico Etch, 19th in the field in the dog rankings. And there was Nick T, 9th in the field in the dog rankings. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, at the Century, we talked about the dog rankings. I believe Hideki was 3rd in the field that week. So 2 top 10 dog winners to start the year. And I say all of this because we were texting about it last night. Is there a more important stat than dog, Jers, when it comes to winning the tournament? We spend so much time talking about the strokes gained, talking about the shot length, whatever it may be. And those are great for DFS. Those are great for placements. Those are great for guys that are going to get into the mix. But strokes gained dog is how you win golf tournaments.
Yeah, you can have all the strokes gained in the world. Like, look at Xander for all of his career. He had to find the dog to finally break through. He had all the strokes gained. Everyone knows how perfect of a golfer Xander was until he found the dog. He didn't win shit. He didn't win shit. And then he broke through 1-2 majors in the year. So literally, you need to have the dog rankings. And where else are you finding the dog rankings? Vincerix.com. It is a real tool that we've developed with various outlets, our own brains and AI, to add into the models, to add into the existing stats. And it's coming to fruition to start the season. And we've talked about it for the last 2 years. Now we have real data and numbers and mindset backing what we're thinking. And it's already coming to fruition. So the dog rankings are so important. If you don't have a sliver of them, why even bet them? For example, we talked about how little dog Eric Cole had on our Tuesday pod last week. He had such little dog on the weekend. He kind of bucked up late on Sunday, but he had zero chance to ever come close to winning.
Well, I was about Eric Cole specifically. I think he was the perfect example. Nothing to me shows less dog than when you get up to the mix, you get up to the lead, instantly eject, and then make 4 birdies in a row. That actually is worse to me than if you just get up near the lead, you kind of don't make birdies, you don't make bogeys, you're just kind of hanging around. There's nothing that shows less dog than when you get there, you eject, and then you rally back, because that just shows that you had the ability within inside of you to make the birdies the entire time, but it was clearly the lack of dog that held you back.
And we said on that pod last week, Eric Cole is 100-1. He was 25 last week. I mean, last year. How did we not bet this? And then I said to myself, Eric Cole has 0 dog. Eric Cole's not winning shit. And it just came exactly true. And it sucks because Eric Cole is he's 50-1 this week. He's half the number. 0 dog. It makes sense from a course fit standpoint, as it did last week, but 0 dog. Come on, Eric Cole.
Yeah, and I think when people ask, what is dog? How do you calculate dog? You saw what Nick Taylor did is a dictionary definition of dog for multiple reasons. And to get back to your point, he was 81st in the course fit model just because he's been playing terrible golf. He hasn't posted a top 10 since his last win. He's obviously played good at the Sony the year before. He's good on these positional type of courses, but there's been a lot of, I think a lot of people will say you play Nick Taylor in these types of courses. Yes, but there's been a lot of Nick Taylor golf courses that have occurred over the last year, and he has not played good golf at all. So you would have
Waste is not really a Nick Taylor golf course.
No. He's a dog player. And at the end of the day, I think now that we've got the dog rankings, and as I've said before, the dog rankings I made for myself because the goal was to not overthink it. It was like, these guys are the guys who actually will win if they get into the mix. And I haven't stuck by that necessarily the first couple of weeks in ways that they make sense. With, again, Nick Taylor being 9th in the SG dog. And we saw it from him in multiple ways because he was out of the tournament. He was +1 through his first 7 holes. Even he himself said, I wasn't thinking about winning the tournament. I didn't really think that I had a chance. He got the iron play cooking. He was throwing darts. He was making birdies. But then on the back 9, he missed 2 short putts. Not just short, but like almost gimme level birdie putts. And in my brain, I was like, that isn't the strokes gained dog that I was expecting of Nick Taylor. Because even as early as Thursday, when I saw Nick Taylor getting up into the mix, my heart sunk a little bit. It reminds me of when Pablo gets in the mix on the DP World Tour, because the second you see his name pop up, I think Pablo and Nick are actually extraordinarily similar players. They don't pop up often, but the second they do pop up, you know shit is about to get real. And as soon as I saw Nick Taylor out there on Thursday playing well, but then he fell off the pace, started missing those short putts, and I was like, is this dog? Is this not dog? What's going on? And then, of course, I left the room to go do laundry because I didn't think there was going to be anything interesting happening on the 18th green because Nico had chipped up to tap in range, and I wasn't thinking. I walk in the door as his chip is going into the hole, and at that point, I know you were on Spawn. He was already starting to shit the bed at that point. I had a hard time seeing how it wasn't going to be Nick Taylor time going into the playoff after he chipped in.
Well, I agree with you, and I thought I felt bad about Nico Etch too because I called him a generational flusher so many times last week, and I see this guy swing. I'm like, how does he he flushes? You got to see him swing in person. And yeah, he didn't have some moments in the past where he showed the most dog, but he's kind of a mixed dog. He's mixed dog, but I thought Nico Etch at 100-1 generational flusher mixed just so hard the last X amount of months. I thought he had a really good chance to take that too over Nick Taylor, who has obviously more dog. But I think what Nick Taylor did, like when he missed those 2 putts, he wasn't like in the lead or having a chance to win then. He was still behind. So him missing those putts and his only chance to make it happen was to buck up and do what he did on 18. And he clearly did that. So it just shows that how important and what the dog is. And I'm just still kicking myself. And I still can't fully process what Spawn did.
Well, Spawn,
but yeah.
Well, we'll get to Spawn in a second because he is a low dog. I've had him as a low dog player historically. Yeah. He's always been low dog to me, and I think we saw that yesterday. But we do need to talk about that final group because it was thrilling watching CB Eggs full bomb and gouge around the course. But just to round it out on Nick T, I do think, I was watching him play there. I watched a good chunk of the golf this week. His ability on these short positional tracks to just shape the ball kind of around the corners, like the dog leg tee shots don't affect Nick T. They look straight to him. When he steps up to the tee, he's going to shape around it. And as somebody who went to the University of Washington, who grew up playing similar golf courses to what Nick T would have played growing up, that's the game you learn playing golf in the state of Washington or up in Canada. You learn how to shape the ball around the corners. You learn how to keep the ball in play, which he clearly knows how to do. But I also think what's interesting, he obviously has an insane amount of SGD, of dog, but he finds a way to match himself up down the stretch with low dog players. His win in Canada over Tommy Fleetwood, one of the lowest dog players.
It's a crazy take. I can't wait to hear this.
His win in Phoenix, ultimately against Charlie Hoff, a notorious low dog player, great first round leader guy, but overall low dog. And then this week, sometimes it seems like he doesn't even want to win, but he almost has no choice because he's going up against people with such low dog. And I agree, like Nico Etch specifically, I'm not necessarily going to tie into this, but JJ Spawn's a low dog. Jaeger's unserious. He has a lot of dog, but he's simultaneously unserious. And then Nico Etch, I was on Nico. He's obviously got dog because he beat JT at the Zozo. But I was on I was on him at the RSM, and he was sitting in the middle of the fairway with the tournament in his hands against Luke Clance and Mav McNeely, a historically no dog player, and he missed the green from the middle of the fairway and made bogey on 18, and probably he should have won RSM.
Clance made bogey there too.
Yeah, they both made bogey, and then Mav made that birdie on 18 to flip it. But Nico is on the cusp of the top 50 of the dog rankings if he had even if he had lost the playoff, but that 3-putt, that was gross. That reminded me of Akshay at the Rocket Mortgage. But my take basically is Nick Taylor's dog comes, I think he just looks at the competition sometimes and sees such low dog that it boosts him up even further.
Yeah.
But I think he did at, I can't remember who he beat at Pebble. Might have been Phil, but he's beaten good guys down the stretch too. But I think sometimes he just looks at these guys and he goes, you know what?
That was clinical dog against Phil because I've watched those highlights. Before. That's Nick Taylor, I don't think there's any question. He's got serious dog. And it goes to show the fact that he has serious dog, one top 10 in 2024, a win. His next top 10 is a win. When you get into the positions, can you do it? Serious dog.
Yep, that's definitely his dog.
Like Davis Riley. Serious dog players.
When you get on the back nine, it's not are you a good golfer or are you a bad golfer? It's when you're playing good golf and you get to the back nine of the final round, are you going to win? And there couldn't be a more picture-perfect example of that than what Nick Taylor did this week. So shout out to him. He does also win Low Husky of the Week. We talked about the Low Husky market. We were on CT, who also played pretty good. But shout out to my fellow alumni, Nick Taylor. Go Dogs. That's great to see. I've also nominated him for athletic director up at the University of Washington. I'd like to see him take a leadership position at the university with all of the winning that he does. But yes, he'll be moving up from number 26 in the global dog rankings up to number 11. He's going to be slotting in right behind Pablo. Between Pablo and Siwoo is where Nick Taylor is going to fall in the rankings, because ultimately, if Pablo and Nick Taylor were coming down the back nine, I would still lean Pablo ever so slightly.
He would make everything. It doesn't matter where he is.
I would love to see him and Pablo go down the stretch. But yeah, JJ Spawn and Stevie Eggs were in the final group. As of an hour before everything changed, if you would have asked me what are the odds that there will be a 2-person playoff and who's going to be in the playoff, I would have put the odds of it being Yeggs and Spawn at 99%, maybe higher. Like, it was a 2-man race as far as anyone could possibly tell.
It was as much of a 2-man race as you could see with like 5 holes left.
Yeah. And I think the moment where it became so clear it was 2-person was that whole, I think it might have been 14, Spawn went in the bunker. Yeggs made that long birdie putt, but then Spawn matched him with a long par putt. I think they were a couple shots ahead. It was like, all right, these guys are just in the zone making putts.
That was right when Nicky T was missing those putts too, the short ones.
Yeah. It was just like, how could it be anybody but these guys? It had started as the person sweating Spawn. The first moment of just like, it may not just be as easy as it's looking like it's going to be was on 9 when he missed that short putt.
So annoying.
But then it wasn't like either of them were playing bad. Yeggs was swinging. We talked about before the week if there was a bomb and gouge angle to be played. That's why I bet Fishburne, and Fishburne obviously played very well. He just, lack of dog cost him down the stretch. He played good enough to win the tournament. Stevie Yeggs, I don't think I've ever seen somebody take bomb and gouge more seriously than Stevie Yeggs was. It's just coming out of his shoes. He ended up starting to hook everything hard left. But what was the moment as a Spawn supporter where, because I think the whole time you were probably thinking it's Yeggs or Spawn. Where was the moment where you started to realize there might be other guys potentially in this mix?
Other guys, I would say like not till 17T, truthfully. Or 17T, but Nico Etch started making everything. I was like, this guy. I like Nico Etch. I was like, seriously, dude, just stop right now, because I was sweating Spawn. And like you said, 2-man race. I was about to get onto the sports book. I made a Bovada account and hedge on Spawn. And I hedge on Jaeger, because I was like, all right, 2-man race. I got Spawn. Let's just guarantee some win. I logged in and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it's just another bet to lose. I don't want to do it. Thankfully, I didn't. So I think I'm just going to be team no hedge all season long, because it's my first real hedge opportunity.
I'm team no hedge always.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be that, because it's just literally another bet to lose. Just ride your shit. So I'm happy I didn't do that. And then come 16T, I was as happy as could be. I was like, Spawn hooked. I keep saying that. Jaeger hooked it left. He's out of bounds. He's in a pool maybe. We don't know where it is. I was like, Spawn, just make par here and we're good. Obviously, that happened. He missed an 8-footer for birdie, and Jaeger made a 15-footer for bogey to make it still a tournament. I'm like, all right. Now comes 17. And going on to 17T, I was like, this is a bogey. I know it's going to happen. let me just have I was hoping we had 2 shots over Jaeger. We had 1 because he made that bogey putt. And then I knew one of those guys, Nico, was going to probably birdie. So I was like, all right, we're going to have a birdie. Even if we make bogey here, maybe we'll have a birdie to win or something like that. And then it all came crashing down. Like, you missed the fairway on 18. You still have, I guess, a chance to get it up there. You leave yourself in the worst possible spot, and you don't make birdie. But
I think my issue was Spawn because he looked so steady, and obviously the announcers were talking about it. He talked about it in his press conference saying how to be honest, I prefer a guy who brings a little bit more energy in the final round.
Yeah.
I get the concept of let's keep everything super steady. Let's not get too high, too low. That's fine. If that's the way you want to go, so be it. I just think if you look back again, we're the strokes gained dogs, guys. I'm always watching for the mental, for the dog in the final rounds. He was too even keel for my liking throughout the whole tournament. If you make a long putt, give the fist bump, get fired up. Like, don't make it.
Yeah.
He was almost playing not to lose, I feel like, versus playing to win. And ultimately, Nick Taylor and Nico Etch, who were in chase mode the whole time, had no choice but to put the pedal down. But yeah, when he was in the left rough on 16 and he hit that amazing punch shot from under the tree out of the rough and rolled it up to 10 feet, that's when I thought it was over. I had other stuff to do. I was like, all right, this is when I'm going to start doing other stuff, and I'll just keep watching on the side. Obviously, I was rooting super hard for Spawn in support of you and Boots, but it wasn't meant to be. Yegs, one last thing on Yegs. What was he doing? What was he thinking? The man,
on 18?
Yeah, the man steps up on every hole the entire day, even on it's like a par 3, and he's got his driver out swinging out of his shoes to see like how far he can hit it. He's hitting these like 40-yard hooks way left. He looks like a guy on the driving range who like plays high school football, but he's going to try out for the golf team. I had multiple guys who are on the golf team like this, and they just swing as hard as they fucking can, and things are hooking, and every now and then it goes straight. He's doing that every hole, and then he walks up to 18. And he pulls out the 3-wood, the only club that's not going to clear that bunker. If he just nukes it, he's going to have the ability to whack it up next to the green. His short game was really good. He could have got it up and down for birdie. He goes in there, he hits the lip the same way that Fishburne did. How does it just doesn't make sense to me. These guys are playing for over $1 million, and they're just making that bad of a strategic decision. It makes no sense.
It just boils down to something we always say: strokes gained caddy. He clearly does not have high strokes gained caddy. What are we doing? Did you hear Smiley's commentary? Because he was baffled. Shout out Smiley, as always, one of the best to do it. He was just like, he was baffled, as we all were. Just true ball knowledge from Smiley. What are you doing, Jaeger? What are you doing?
No,
you can miss left all you want on 18. Look at Charlie Hoffman. He made that hole look like a fucking like a fucking joke. You can miss as far left as you want to on 18.
Yeah, as they're walking up to the tee, and I agree. Shout out Smiley, and honestly, shout out. I like this new NBC crew. Like, not new, but like the general vibes of this NBC crew, I really like it. Dan Hicks is amazing, obviously. Now that Zinger's not up there fucking with Hicks the whole time, like Hicks has always been one of the top announcers in sports in general, and now he's like gone up a notch. Smiley's great. I love having Kurt and obviously Bones down on the course. Great cover. Like, NBC and Golf Channel, when it comes to the commercials and all that shit, is always going to be terrible. But I do think, at least in the first 2 events of the year, they've upped their game on showing a lot of shots and showing all the shots that matter, and not just showing when guys like, oh, he's putting for birdie, he's going to make it. They've done, at least on the beginning of the year, in my opinion, a better job of the coverage. Let's see if they can keep it up as the season goes forward. But yeah, Smiley was like, as they were walking from 17 to 18, he's like, okay, finally, Yeggs gets to a hole where his left miss isn't going to hurt him. Like, this is the first time they showed an entire graphic of where like his left misses, and then they pan to 18. They're like, finally, Yeggs has a hole where it's not going to matter. And there he is, like, let me get positional here and let me find the fairway with the 3-wood. Unbelievable. And
neither of them did, obviously. So
quickly down the rest of the board, we talked about Cole. Couldn't have been a more low dog situation. I posted in the Discord that I was going to, on like Monday, I was like, I'm interested in the triple digits on Cole. We talked about it on the pod. Then you talked about his low dog. I was like, yeah, I can't bet this guy. People on Thursday when we started to play well, a couple of friends of the pod in the Discord were like, what's the state of the union?
Not at all.
I was nervous only a tiny bit, but as soon as the first time Cole ejected, I think Friday he did it. He like made 3 bogeys in a row or a triple bogey or something. Then he made like 9 birdies in a row. And I was like, no, this guy's unserious. I'm not worried about that. So glad that he did exactly what we'd expect from him. Shank is back. Nice to see Shank back. Keep your eyes on Shank as we get onto the West Coast, because you've been following the Shank story closely after you saw him at the gas station in Pine. What's State of the Union on Shank?
I'm so happy. I gave Shank a bad boots report. I'm so happy to see him do something good, because I became friends with this kid down in Florida who's from Indiana, and they play the same course as Shank, and he gave me all the intel on Shank's family situation. And he was truly really struggling on the golf course, because he had to take care of a newborn, which is just real life things that all golfers go through. But it really took a lot out of his golf game, and that showed in 2024. So just happy to see Shank play well. Obviously, this is a golf course and last week was a golf course that Shank should play well on. So I'm not going to probably bet him or talk about him much more this week, but just always rooting for the guy. And always way too nice. If I saw him out there, how you doing? Does not have to say hi to me. Does not have to acknowledge me at all. Super nice guy. So shout out Shank.
Yeah, we're Shank supporters, and like I said, nice to see him playing well again. And I think there's some courses early in the season where Shank tends to play well, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. Keegan, nicely done by Keegan. He continues to play well. He's going to be a legitimate contender for playing captain on the Ryder Cup, in my opinion. He's playing as consistently as anyone at this point.
Is he playing this week?
I don't know.
He's not.
I doubt it. This doesn't seem like a Keegan tournament. Quickly on Patty Fish, like I said, I was on him thanks to your boots report. And I will say overall, we talked about this in the pod last week. We talked about Waialae, much better boots course, much better boots overall. Everything you wrote up was awesome. Had a lot of guys in the mix. Easily, almost should have been a winning week. There was a time where Fish and Spawn were up there. Doesn't happen. That's okay. At the end of the day, you put out the best content. You make the best selections that you can. Sometimes they come home. Sometimes they don't. But a great boots week overall. And one of those guys that I got on specifically because of boots was Patrick Fishburne. The man has shots. The man has all sorts of golf shots. He was hitting stingers.
The stingers are so funny.
Yeah, the dude can play. I've also want to know, have Pendy and Fishburne ever been seen in the same room? Are we sure that Pendy and Fishburne are not the same guy? I'm not confused. You were boots. Did you ever see Pendy and Fish separately? Or
no, I did not. I did not. So we'll have to monitor that situation and see if they're ever, because they've never got paired together probably. So there's maybe a reason for that. We'll see.
I'm not convinced that they're not the same person. He was luck boxing, to be honest. He was doing bomb and gouge. He was doing what he was supposed to, but no, dog. He when you're minus 14 on the front nine on Saturday of a PGA Tour tournament and minus 16 goes to a playoff, that's terrible golf from that point forward.
What are you doing?
That is bad golf. That's horrible. He finishes minus 13. That's unacceptable. I don't know if Fish has the dog to win after what I saw there at the Sony. Maybe against a weak field. Maybe he plays against some really bad golfers. There's not as much dog in the mix. He could win, but that was disappointing. Young gun of the week, KFT player of the week, Jackson Suber comes up first start on the PGA Tour for Suber, I believe, and finishes T6. So shout out to him. Looks like approach and putting might be his game.
He played a major before and he fucked, I think.
We saw him at Pine. He made the cut. We saw him at Pine.
Okay. Shout out.
And then down the board, Jesper Svens. Good call by us there. We had him as a random year of the week. We had him finish in the top 20. He finishes T10. He can play. He's not going to win, I don't think, this year on the PGA Tour, but he's going to post a lot of top 20 finishes. Yeah. Good call on him. Nick Dunn is just doing Nick Dunn things. Was there ever a second where you were worried Nick Dunn was gonna sneak up there and snatch this thing?
Simply dog. He has a lot more dog than a lot of players. He clearly, as we saw at the Century, was not playing his best golf. Didn't look great out there, but just has so much. I feel like there was never a point where Nick Dunn knew he could win, but he's just willing himself to make birdies because there was a bunch of mistakes in that run where he made bogeys to really fault his case to really make a run for.
He's losing tons of strokes off the tee. I mean,
he's not there. He's not there, which I'll Vic for sure. But just the dog is doesn't matter how bad you're hitting it, the dog prevails.
Yeah, that was a top 10 purely on the back of dog. Last guy to talk about quickly. Oh, actually, shout out Hodges. Great call on Hodges. Hodges, I thought was going to show more dog. He just couldn't quite get it going. But great call on Hodges. And then Russell Henley. This was the most Russell Henley performance I've ever seen in my entire life. If you want to see what low dog looks like, Go watch the highlights of Russell Henley's performance. Every time they cut to Henley, he was like 5 feet away for birdie to get within like one of the lead or to tie the lead. He missed every single one. And they weren't even close. How many times can you leave a putt low and short right below the break before like someone just goes, hey, Russ, why don't you just hit one harder and miss it on the left side? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you miss one on the left side? He makes a lot of long putts. He gains strokes putting. Like, he knocks in 30 footers every now and then, but he misses so many short ones. I didn't want him to win. I didn't want him to play good necessarily, but it was painful to watch, and I didn't even care.
Yeah, fucking Russ. It's just a vintage Russ performance. Played better than I thought he would, but it's Russ on Bermuda. Just don't overthink it.
My final take from the Sony, and it's a Russ take, is I think Scotty decided to go to Claw after being paired with Russ at the President's Cup. I think that's when he discovered it. I think if he was watching the tournament, Scotty will show up at the next, whenever Scotty returns, this Claw will be gone because he'll be like, I can't putt like this guy. That was terrible. So that's the Sony. Nick Taylor, strokes gained dog. He's your winner. We are on to the AmEx Jurors, which is without question one of the birdie fests of the year. You were there last year. You've seen the courses up close. 3 different courses. They're going to play La Quinta. They're going to play Nicholas. They're going to play Die. Obviously, of varying difficulties. They've not renovated isn't the right word. They tore up the greens and the bunkers around the greens at this Die course, the one that they'll play twice and the one that they'll play in the final round specifically. They made the greens bigger. They've made the bunkers more challenging. And what they're reporting is, I read the article from the tournament director saying that the goal is on Sunday, once the AMs are out, because this is also a pro-am event, obviously there's going to be a bunch of rich people, shout out AmEx, playing in the first 3 rounds. But in the final round, they've got these bigger greens. They've got tougher bunkers. They're going to try to hide the pins a little bit, not hide them, but make the pins a little bit tougher, put them next to the bunkers, put them next to the lakes. So that's the changes to the course. I was looking at the data this morning. To me, this is a spike approach and make some putts. Golf course. What is this golf course to you? How do you look for a profile? And you were there. Anything from being there last year? You had boots last year. Any boots insights from being there last year?
Yeah, definitely some boots insights. Remember how I said last week that the Sony Open is the only course that I said looked better on TV, which still stands. This course, although it's a piece of shit event, piece of shit putting contest, shout out Rom, stunning in person. Absolutely stunning. The dormant Bermuda is awesome to see in person, and the mountains in the background, awesome. So if you're ever in that area, just go see it for a day. Because although the golf is whatever, you're going to see some guys stuff it, and visually one of the coolest courses I've ever been to. So definitely would recommend. But I agree with what you said. Hit fairways, be super active. Like, this is not really a course you can bomb in G, but because it's very narrow and it's cluttered. So I would say this is more hit fairways, spike on approach, no holes overly long, and just really just get hot on the greens. I'm going to be going with some very similar profiles to what I'm normally going for in these events. Just the plotters, the guys who can really hit mid irons and wedges closely, and then hopefully get hot with the putter.
Yeah, and I think you look at some of the data for this tournament. First of all, 3 winners in the last 5 years over 200 to 1. This is one of the randomest tournaments of the year when you consider the fact that 3 of the first 3 rounds are all played on different golf courses. You're not truly mixing until the final round. Like, I think guys who maybe don't have a ton of dog. Now, we do have dog winners of this tournament. Dunn's dog, Rom's dog, Hudson Swafford's kind of got some dog. Siwoo's obviously got dog. But, like, you can get into the mix of this tournament and not feel like you're in the mix until the final round comes around. I think because of that, you get some more random guys who can pop up and win this event versus like last week, for example, a guy like Fishburne gets into the lead. The pressure's on him from that moment forward. It's like, you're the guy, the cameras are on you, everybody's watching. You could have the lead. I think Dunlap may be an example. Like, you could be playing La Quinta, shooting some incredible score, and no one's even watching you. Nobody even knows you're playing. And so, like, and you're playing with an amateur. It's 2 people pairings. I think that leads into part of the randomness of this event. But so I just wanted to note, and even when Siwoo won, he was 65 to 1. So, like, besides Rom, who won when he was the favorite, but he beat Davey T, who was infinity odds, and Davey T could have easily won that tournament. They kind of went down the stretch.
Should have made that eagle putt. Damn, I don't know how that didn't go in. That was a crazy moment.
And when he hit the pin and got robbed on the par 3 on that putt, 17, like, so
I forgot about that week. That
could have gone either way. I famously had Hudson Swafford here. That was dope. So long shots are in play here. I don't think it's a week necessarily to hammer the top of the board. I think it's a week. You went with the long shot card last week. It was still 6 point, or it was still 7x, but you had the 13-man long shot card. If there was ever a week to do it, here's another week to do it. Just sling the long shots. This is where I discovered Cam Young back in the day. He was like 250 to 1. He played well here. But yeah, I think to me it's like get hot with the irons, mid irons and wedges, make some putts. I don't care that much about the driving. Like at the end of the day, Dunlap's not an accurate driver, but he bombed it and played fine. I do think give me more accuracy than wayward driving if I had to choose, but really go with the irons and the approach. And here's a random, we always like to give out a random trend, something that jumps out when we're looking at the data. I've got one for you this week, Jers, as I tend to do. It's an interesting one. Dunlap and Rahm didn't play the Wyndham the year before they won. Obviously, Dunlap was in college. Rahm's not playing
the Wyndham.
The Wyndham, Sedgefield.
Let's hear this.
Let's wrap it together. Dunlap and Rahm didn't play, so they're out of the analysis. Am I still standing okay? Just whacked the microphone.
Yeah.
Hand gesture for those listening on the pod. But Swafford, Siwoo Kim, and Andrew Landry. That's a random collection of names of golfers. Hudson Swafford, Siwoo Kim, and Andrew Landry. Those are the 3 previous winners. They won in 2022, 2021, and 2020. All 3 of them did play the Wyndham the year before they won the tournament. And let me tell you about their strokes gained approach figures at the Wyndham, Jers. Another course where you hit a shit ton of shots from like 150 to 175, which is one of the biggest buckets here. The year before Hudson Swafford wins the Amex, he gained 6 on approach at Sedgefield. Siwoo Kim, another Sedgefield specialist, the year before he wins the Amex, not only does he finish T2 at the Wyndham, he gains 5 strokes on approach. And Andrew Landry, not a good golfer at all. He had missed a shit ton of cuts. Before he won, he was T19 the year before at the Wyndham, also gaining 5.8 strokes on approach. So, Jers, if you're looking for a random golfer this week, go see some guys who fucked on approach at Wyndham. And I think to your point earlier about this, like being a little bit more positional, a little bit more approach, there's no better place to show off you've got sick iron play than the Wyndham. And guys have been showing that coming into the event. So there's my random stat of the week. What do you think about that?
I mean, that makes a ton of sense. Like Siwoo's arguably 2 best courses are here in the Wyndham. Like he plays them well often. So yeah, I mean, and they're very similar style of courses. So I think that makes a ton of sense. I'm definitely gonna. Is that a number 1 on the course comp, or you haven't done that yet?
Let me check on the comp. I don't know if it ranks highly in the comps. Let me check the comps here. Comps are up on the side. Obviously, Vincent pulls these together, calculates all sorts of different things. Oh, of course it is, Jers. It's 3rd on the comps, Sedgefield. So, the top 5 this week on the comps, El Camaleon, the old course. So that's not going to do us as much good because we're not playing there as often. Also, Liv's not playing there anymore, interestingly. But TBC, River Highlands, number 2, Traby. Sedgefield, Colonial, TPC, Deer Run, and Waialae. And I think the Waialae comp might actually come from just the fact that guys who get hot at Waialae carry it on to Amex. But yeah, so look out for Sedgefield. That's people, maybe not something people will talk about because it's not necessarily visually similar or statistically from a scoring perspective similar, but the approach profiles and the guys tend to play good there. So check out that. And let's get to the board. I've got, I'm going to go with Bet Online, BOL. We're supporters of Bet Online. Free advertising for them because they've got the odds out. They also usually have the best odds, and because we're doing this before necessarily every book is out, their odds tend to be pretty much where the market kind of goes. So I think using them to start will help point us in the right direction of kind of where these odds end up. Top of the board, Xander's back. Your boy, he's 8-1. He always plays well here. He usually only plays well in the final round. He'll make an albatross. He'll do something crazy to shoot up into the mix. He's never truly been in the mix here, in my opinion. He's 8-1. Any interest on the single bullet on your boy, Xander?
Vic Lap Boots did not hit it well at the Century, and I did not think he looked well at the Century heading into the tournament. So, Xander's not someone who usually hits it poorly. Hopefully, I assume he's figured it out in those last 2 weeks, and this is a golf course that should suit. I mean, every golf course suits Xander's game. Hot take. 7-1, 8-1. That's a good number on Xander, who has a ton of dog. But yeah, in a very wild tournament, in an event that favorites usually do not come to fruition, I will definitely be going down the board.
Yeah, and I agree. Obviously, Xander could win. He's the best player in this tournament, but does Xander care about winning the AmEx? Xander cares about winning majors. That's his game now.
Right.
I'll check in on him by maybe the players. The next tier, everybody's kind of tucked in here in the 14 to 16 to 1 range. JT played great here last year. It was the first kind of tournament JT had played well in a while. People thought he was back. Then he wasn't back for a long time. And then he was back until the Century, where he was not back once again. Sungjae, shout out to Willie. We know how many birdies Sungjae can make. We know how stripes Sungjae is. He's below 20. He's below 30 to 1, so obviously not of interest to me. And then Patrick Cantlay, always popular here. Almost won once. Seems like, of course, he should play well. He gets to hobnob with the elites, which is when Cantlay is at his most comfortable. That's immeasurable statistic here this week. Is when Cantlay gets around rich people, he tends to elevate his game.
Slower round, the better.
Yeah, slow rounds. He's chatting with he's figuring out how to put together some sort of derivative contract with his Goldman Sachs representatives and his Apollo people. JT, Sungjae, and Pat Cantlay, who do you like most, and are you considering betting any of those guys in the mid-teens?
I think Pat was my preseason pick here for one and done, and I'm seeing a 2 in front of his name. I've bet him at 9 before here. So, yeah, Pat hasn't won in a while. This is a great number on Patrick Cantlay on arguably one of his best golf courses. I can really see myself getting there. Really, I truthfully can. So, I guess monitor the situation come Wednesday. But Patrick Cantlay for sure in this group. Not playing statistically, not playing and doing anything crazy. Did not come to fruition at the Century. But I just think this is such a good Pat Cantlay golf course. And it's a good, I feel like I would sell my whole card for him at 20 to 1. So I think I could get there.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm probably not going to bet any of these guys. I'm definitely
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed to. So it doesn't matter. But below 20 to 1, I'm out on them. Next up, we've got Sam Burns, and he's kind of the next guy who's just a touch above these guys. He played good here last year. It makes sense. Like, I'm sure Sam can play fine. I don't know. He always plays good here, actually. He's been top 20 in 4 of his last 5 starts. He always makes infinity putts. I'm sure he'll finish top 20 again. When it becomes to iron play course, that's where it holds me back a tiny bit on him. And we saw that in the final round last year. So I don't think I can get there on Sam, but any interest in Sammy B's obviously playing well. I think he will play well this week. I just don't know if he quite has the iron play upside to top the field.
I like Sam Burns in terms of one of the most motivated golfers in 2025, especially early on. So I think that could will him to good golf. But statistically, profile, I don't love him. I bet him here last year, and obviously that didn't go well. He kind of just made it all happen with the putter, which is fine for Sam Burns. That's something he can do. I don't trust like you said, the iron play and driver. I mean, you can say the driver can get loose, but Sam Burns the last year has found something off the tee. Like, he's been both long and straight as opposed to like what he used to be. So I think Sam Burns will play well. I'm more in than out, but I don't think I'll get there.
The next tier, I'd put Finau and TK as guys who round out the 20s. I really like Tom this week.
Really, I'm with you there.
When it becomes point and shoot golf, that's Tom's game. And want to know who won the Wyndham? Tom. And he has this is my take. He's finished second in every other start. He's gone cut in his last 5 starts overall. He's gone cut at Shriners, second in the Euro on the DP, cut in Hong Kong, second at the Hero World Challenge, and he was T65 last week. But he was striping his irons last week. I was watching him on the coverage. Tom's swing looks super dialed. He just looks like he's flushing. The putter was cold last week. The around the green was cold last week. The putter would be my only concern of can he get to the 27 under that he's probably going to need. The weather looks tremendous this week in Palm Springs. Everything's going to be good from a no wind perspective. Like, it's going to be low scoring. You give me Tom in the high 20s when we need to spike on approach and make some birdies. He's got the dog. I really like Tom this week.
Yeah, how far is this from you? This tournament, like 6 hours?
Yeah, I'll be back in. I'm in New York today for the pod, but I'll be back in SF tomorrow. And it's about 6 hours away.
Come Wednesday, I want you to put on the bottom of your card, if X and X are in the final group, I have to go.
Well, the unfortunate. So my girlfriend's coming out. She's gonna be there over the weekend. So no matter what, it's gonna be. Maybe we could go down to Palm Springs together. I could talk her into it. But I do for maybe for the whole California swing. I'll identify guys ahead of time that if they get in the mix, I'm going final round. I'm going on Sunday. But yeah, I like Tom this week. He was T6 here back in 2023. Just go around.
I also
make a ton of birdies. I'm interested in Tom. Next, win in the 30s to 40s range. Let me give you some guys. Actually, let me give you 3 guys because things change here after these guys. Wyndy, Siwoo, or Harman. Any interest in those guys?
Harman showed something last week, which is for the first time in a while, and I thought it was a good number on Harman last week on a course that made sense for Harman. Siwoo, I feel like, what's the state of the union on this guy? Because he just hasn't really been playing great golf, opposed to like they had a few like random starts in the like late fall, I think, or early fall.
He was my fade last week in DFS, and I was happy with that. He missed the cut by a long shot.
Yeah.
I
like Harman.
He's just not putting well. His tee to green game still seems good. He always putts well. I'll call bounce back week for Siwoo. I think Siwoo plays well. I think
win him champ.
Yeah, I'll give Siwoo bounce back here. I'm gonna mark Siwoo down for a T16. I think Siwoo plays well this week. I don't think he's gonna win. Wyndham, I'm good. I like him when he was in the 50s, but now he's back down to the 30s. He tends to play better when he's kind of under the radar up in the 50s. But then it really like now Spawn is 40 to in the 40s.
I saw that. That's insane.
There's a bunch of guys like Fishburne's
and
down
Taylor's
in the
70.
Yeah, Nico Etches down in the 60s. Like a lot of the guys who played well, Cole's back into the 40s. Stay away from all these guys. Away from all these guys. Don't even think about it. Would make no sense. They were just triple digits last week against a way better or against worse golfers. This field is better at the top for sure than last week. Do not chase these numbers. Do not chase numbers ever, but definitely don't chase these ones. In the middle of the board, there's Kurt, Greyserman, Harry Hall, CY, DBT, Willie Z, Dunn, Hoge, Griffin. Any of those guys?
Hoge Griffin for sure. Hoge Griffin. Griffin actually ended up didn't hit it that poorly. Hoge striped his irons again. I like them too. They both have decent course history too. I think Griffin's finished 9th here before. Hoagie's got a T3, I believe, and the golf course that makes sense for them in their career and like at the core. So I bet Hoge last week. I was out on Griffin last week, but he showed some good things. I think I could get to both of those guys this week. And I kind of like this range of 60 and below. There's some golfers in there that I could definitely look at. But like you said, that 50, 60 range is kind of garbage. There's random, just recency bias guys in there that you should definitely fade.
I'm not going to bet him this week, but I do just want to note Kurt continues to play consistent golf. He wasn't quite striping as hard last week, but we need to keep Kurt in our minds as we approach
Florida swing.
As we get to Florida and the more difficult tournaments, I think Kurt is building towards something special.
He could win Valspar by
8. Easily. So keep your eyes on Kurt when he gets down to Florida. Greyserman and Hall, they can make putts. Hall, we got to talk about Hall for a second. The hell was he doing?
Vic Lapping Hall not hitting his wedges well because he did not hit them well at all. And what the hell was he doing on 18? That was insane.
Fishburne yelled at him. Fishburne was like, Fishburne was waiting to chip from short of the green and was like, and I thought it was because they went to commercial, they came back, like it was taking forever. Unacceptable from Harry. Unacceptable. But I didn't know this. Apparently he's getting coached up by Butch Harman now, which that's always a plus for me when guys start getting coached up by Butch. We saw it with Ricky when he won. So I think my Hall Bethpage take, I think I'm going to stand by. I think Harry's headed to Bethpage, but I'm upset and I no longer like him based on what happened on the 18th green yesterday when he took forever to play with the tournament on the line. Really wanted to enjoy the moment when the spotlight was on him there. Also not a high dog player, a low dog player. He got that win at the Barbasol, but it was because there was meltdowns across the board and it was baked and it was an entirely different situation.
Because if it wasn't baked, Rico would have never went over the green.
Exactly. It would have stuck on the green, easy 2-putt. He wins. The next tier of guys, actually, there's a guy in the next tier who we need to talk about. Denny McCarthy. Is there a lower dog player in golf than Denny McCarthy?
That performance on McCarthy,
That performance on Saturday was hilarious. He was off the planet on like every hole.
Yeah, he was absolutely off the planet. Once I saw Denny McCarthy and his caddy practicing 5-wood punch shots from like 110 yards at Sony in like acceptable rough, like I was like, what are you doing? Just get on the basketball court, Denny. This is never will win. Never will win.
And
Zero
he putted better last week, but he still like I was worried going into the weekend because anytime you're sweating and Denny's in the mix, you have to deal with the fact that every time he stands over one from inside even like 80 feet, you're like, he's gonna make this. I didn't even have that fear from him this week. Like he's not even he putted good, but he's not putting like Denny when he makes everything. We have to talk about him quickly. Greyserman, not from a betting perspective, I don't think either of us are interested in betting Greyserman in the 40s, but does Greyserman continue to mix or will this end? What's the deal with Greyserman?
Like he might be good, but he's just he hasn't lost strokes putting since the JDC, and it's like consistently solid gains of putting.
Yeah, he drives it nice too. He gains off the tee every time.
Yeah, he's Kane driver putt. He might be Rory, and he looks like Rory. So yeah, I don't know. This is not a golf course where I think that Greyserman can stripe the wedges and irons and really give himself enough chances, but like he can make everything on the green. So yeah, I don't know. We're both out on Greyserman.
Yeah, I'm good on Greyserman. High in the 80s range. Any of these guys catch your attention? Sepp's playing good golf. Lee Hodges, Jason Day is up here. That's a big number on Day. Hadwin, you've had eyes on down in the boots. You like what he's been doing. The true alpha Canadian though is not Pendy and it's not Connors. It's Nick T, and that's a miss on our part. We should have identified that. Seabaz always plays well here. Cam Davis was disgraceful last week. He 3-putted like 14 times, I think, just in one round. That was awful to watch, but he was striping. He hit some unbelievable golf shots on the coverage. That Smiley was like, holy shit, some of these shots, but then he would 3-putt or 6-putt. Terrible from CD. Vegas, Bo Haas, Gim, Fowler, any of those guys of interest?
Sepp, did you say Sepp?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Sepp and Lee, I definitely like. I like Lee again. And
Leo
Hadwin. Like, yeah, Leo, I think he finished third here. Hadwin, this is unequivocally Hadwin's best golf course by far. He always plays well here. I don't think Hadwin can win, though. I really don't. But I bet him the first 2 weeks, and he didn't play bad in either of them. And now what I like about Hadwin is he plays so well here every single time, and he's coming into this week with the best reps he's ever came into this week with. Because he's played the Century, I think.
Yeah, I was on him here last year. He mixed last year.
If you look at his course history, it's just insane. So he should be super comfortable out here. I like Hadwin. The 70 is fine. Like I've been betting him at like 100 plus, but I think I could get down with some Hadwin. The course history is baked into the number. And then Sepp, he'll hit a ton of fairways. Sepp's close. I really think Sepp's really close. So I'm going to get down with Sepp too.
Yeah. I mean, Hadwin's course history is insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T6s in 8 starts, and the other 2 were T32, T15, and T18. So, yeah, I mean, that speaks for itself. I agree, though. Hadwin's a low dog player. Hadwin,
very low dog.
I've mixed with Hadwin a couple times, Rocket Mortgage most notably, but the man has been on the tour for years, and his only win was way back in the day at the Valspar. So I agree with you. I think he'll play well. I have a hard time betting him at 75.
Maybe he's best boys with Nicky T, obviously. Maybe he can talk him up. I don't know.
He can't, because I saw a tweet, I believe, from either Hadwin or his wife that specifically said, shout out to the clutchest person we know, Nick Taylor. So it's not like Hadwin hasn't been marinating in the dog that Nick Taylor has. He's been close to it for his whole life, and he can't take advantage. I don't see any reason why that would change after last week. I like Sepp because I've been out on Sepp the last few weeks. He was popular because he's forgot how to chip. Sepp's around the green play he is not good. But if there was ever
he used it all up at the Open on the 72nd hole. If you know, you know. Hoge Lake. The greatest chip of all time.
But you don't need to be good around the greens here. Hudson Swafford was terrible around the greens. He won. Like, if you're going to win the Amex, you need to be striping so much that if you're surviving around the greens, it's not going to matter for you. Sepp is striping. Sepp has T4 here back in 2020. Sepp can win when you need to go low. He's won the JDC. So, yeah, I'm down for Sepp. at I don't whatever his number is in the 70s. Triple digits. Well, actually, yeah. First, let's start triple digits because I think there's a lot of somewhat compelling names up here. We know how many guys have won in the triple digits at this event. Who's jumping out to you here? Deep down the board, Kevin Yu, Lucas Glover, Billy Ho. Those are some names that might interest me. EVR showed
Matteo
some signs of surprise.
Manacero.
Mateo's in this field.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Dude, there's some names in Matteo Manacero, 250 to 1. It's a great course for him.
Random year of the
Generational
week.
sniper.
Random year of the week, Matteo Manacero. Easily.
Oh, without a doubt. But more actually, that's a realistic take. I'm not even kidding. But I like Alex Smalley again at 100 to 1. Hit it really well all around. Just wasn't able to pop anywhere, but he just played solidly. I like Smalley. ESP's up to 100 because people know now. But Matteo, legitimately, this is a Matteo course for sure.
Random year of the week, Matteo Manacero. We don't even need to talk about the rest.
Oh, we're in California, Celinda. No, we don't ask questions. We're in California.
Yeah, Celinda missed the cut, but he played fine. I was tracking him. He played fine. First time at Sony, missing the cut. It is what it is. We ride with Celinda. Is he in the field?
350 to 1 on DraftKings. So we can get another 750 on somewhere.
Yeah,
if he's 750 to 1 again, we're betting that.
Yeah, Celinda will be on the card. I'm looking down the board.
Ben
here.
Coles is 500 to 1. Like, he's good at golf.
Is he?
He played really well in round 1. He was like shot 5 under, I think, in round 1. I don't know what he finished, but that number's insane.
I mean, he
can't putt, bro. He cannot putt.
I mean, ever since he blew the CJ Cup, he has forgotten how to chip too. Like that moment of disaster.
Oh yeah,
at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson lives with him probably forever. Rosner, there's another random Euro for you who can get hot with the irons and make some putts. Antoine Rosner is 175 to 1 that I'm seeing. Rosenmuller, we were high on Rosenmuller last week. I believe he made the cut. So shout out to Rosenmuller. Tomas is off to a good start on the PGA Tour. Trying to see who else down here. Here's a guy for you, Jers. Chris Kirk's 150 to 1. I was on Kirk last week. Kirk
50 to 1, right?
Yeah, like 60. He's forgotten how to putt, but he's not. Oh, the putts aren't missing by much, and I love tee to green what I'm seeing from Chris Kirk. And Chris Kirk falls in the Nick Taylor category. And he's not going to be top 10 often, but when Chris Kirk pops, he's going to pop. And once he's up into these triple digit numbers, Chris Kirk, I had to remember him because I was going to note that even though he missed the cut, I loved what I saw from Chris Kirk. And I think Chris Kirk is on the cusp of winning a golf tournament within the next 3 months, whether it's here or when he gets back into the Florida swing. We need to keep eyes on Chris Kirk. But what was your take?
I have a Boots take on Chris Kirk that I didn't realize. And I didn't realize how bad he was putting until right now. I saw him on 2 tee boxes take his putter out and like putt at the tee marker. You never want to see that because that means he's really in like deep in the rabbit hole with the putter. Clearly, he's because you only get so much time on the greens. He needs more time to putt. So, monitor the situation, Chris Kirk's putter. If I would have known it meant anything, I would have noted it. But because I'm looking at the numbers, so he definitely did forget how to putt and checks out. Definitely checks out.
Well, there you have it. Well, I like that he's thinking about it. He'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Chris Kirk's the champion.
Chris Kirk,
I'm not
150 to 1.
Yeah, I think he'll figure it out. He's played well here before. Chris Kirk is interested. Harry Ings is up into the hundreds. That's a note of me. Cooch, I don't know if this is a Cooch course. I was on Cooch last week. You play Cooch at Cooch courses. It's pretty simple. If he has good course history, he can play good. If he doesn't, and he doesn't here. So we're out on the Cooch train this week. Joey Buckets back on the West. Yeah. He wasn't striping. I know you said down at Sony, but anytime Joey Buckets gets on the West Coast, we're going to take note. Who else is deep down the board here? Griot's 200 to 1. Vic Perez, there's another random Euro for you at 175 to 1. Vic Perez. But yeah, anybody else down here? Maybe some guys from the KFT. Paul Peterson spiked last week on the KFT.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Aldi Potts is going to try to bomb and gouge here, which is not going to work. But keep an eye out for Aldi Potts. Ryan Gerard played really well, and he's played well in positional courses before. He almost won Honda. Remember, he literally almost won Honda. Yeah, he played really well last week. So look for Gerard. I kind of want to take a look at his numbers last week. What did Gerard do? Did he stripe? Because I love his golf swing. It's one of the most simple, compact swings.
It's a really nice swing. Yeah, he striped.
Almost 4 on approach. He's probably really accurate off the tee because he
I like
lost
Gerard.
off the tee.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, I'm down for some Gerard way down the board here. But yeah, it's a week for taking some shots down the board here. Any guy who's shown potential to spike with the irons. Let's quickly, I gave out that random Sedgefield statistic. I'm just going to quickly look at the approach figures from Wyndham to see if anybody there jumps out as somebody that we need to make note of based on what we just said. Rye's not playing. Spawn, we saw what Spawn did last week. Rio, Hisatsune, he actually played all right last week. I think he made the cut. Yeah. So
I think he did Rio, too. How did he hit it? I'll take a look.
Bad.
He didn't hit it bad?
Yeah, not good.
Not coming out of the top of the face.
Billy Ho. I was out on Billy Ho last week, as we talked about on the pod. I think his game was broken. He's never played good here before, but he did stripe at Wyndham, but he always stripes at Wyndham. Cole, BG, here you go. You're high on Ben Griffin. Want to know who gained 8 strokes of career best approach performance at the Wyndham? Ben Griffin.
That's what we call on the sea.
Chan Kim spiked on approach. Seabez spiked on approach. There's some more crossover. You get Seabez spiking at both places. Woodland, Denny McCarthy, Doug Gim. Is Doug playing this week?
It's not a TPC design though.
So can't have TPC Doug. But
Doug played already last week, I think.
He did. Yeah, he was up there for a second. Another guy who absolutely cannot putt. He actually lost ball striking. That's a weird week for Doug. Doug was T5 here back in 2021. Doug can absolutely lead the field in approach this week. His approach figures historically, it's only one round of data a lot of times at the AmEx, but he's spiked approach every single time he's appeared at the AmEx. You give Doug Gim dome golf, mid irons, and wedges.
Yeah, forget it.
He's gonna
pack your bags.
Pack your bags. He's gonna be flushing. But that's the AmEx Jers to round up. Early, I know it's early Monday. We'll put this out Monday night. But where are you thinking for the card with strategy? Kind of what any guys, if you had to, summarize it right now, what would you go with?
Maybe a 20 and a 30 guy, and then bombs away from there. So nothing too crazy. Probably get a few guys over 100. But also I wanted to note, Yesby has definitely moved into 11th in the Viking Cup standings. I'll get those Viking Cup standings updated either in the Discord or we'll make a tab for it. But yeah, definitely time to update the Viking Cup standings. And Jesper Svensson deserves a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And last week on the DP, this is perfect leads us right into the DP because we got a big tournament on the DP this week.
Massive.
Last week was the Hero Cup, which is a bastardized version of our vision of the Viking Cup because it's continental Europe against Great Britain and Ireland, but a lot of the Vikings weren't playing because the Vikings aren't going to show up unless you allow them to work together. They're not going to show up for continental Europe. That's not what it's about. And continental Europe got curb stomped. And the Hero Cup, I like the concept. I'm glad that they're practicing for the Ryder Cup. I'd love if the Americans did something even in the realm of it. But why not have the Viking Cup? If we can have the Hero Cup and there's continental Europe, let's have the Viking Cup. Let's make it happen. And to your point, yes, be fans 100% deserving. And we've got our eyes on, we do allow one German on the team, honorary. It was Yags, but after yesterday's performance, I think we need to keep our eyes on Rosenmuller as a potential, our potential German representative on the team. But the Dubai Desert Classic this week, Jers, over in Dubai, unsurprisingly there. This is a good tournament by every measure. Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Tommy Fleets. Oh, actually, you mentioned CY. CY is playing at the AmEx.
I know, but I remember last year.
We're not talking about CY at the AmEx whatsoever. Rory, Rahm, Tommy, Tyrrell, Vic, Bobby Mack, Adam Scott, Rasmus, Thor Olsen, Minwoo, Akshay, Dean's in the top 50 of the dog rankings. Patrick Reed's in the dog rankings.
Dean can play so well here.
There's a lot of dog in this tournament. Obviously, Rory and Rahm are like going to be too low to bet single bullet. Everybody else is in play. I'm excited for this event. You've bet this event many times. Do you have like a tactics? What's the strategy for the Dubai Desert Classic?
Total driving. Absolutely stripe it off the tee and just build this, just short by strokes getting off the tee on any site and just bet those guys. They come to fruition regularly in this event. So like Nick Norgard's like 70-1, 80-1. Nick Norgard will fuck this week. And he knows that he needs to play well to. Is he on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys over here like Rasmus and Nicholas Nors who are going to be coming over soon. I think this would be like they're going to play this event because they need to get this is like free money on the DP for them, and then they'll come on over.
Yeah. So like Nick Nor, Adrian Moronk, Ryan Fox, those guys. Dean's kind of short, and I think Min will play well, but he's also too short. I like these like 60, like Tom McKibben. Shout out Tom McKibben. Like what he might not play well this week because he's got a lot going on in his brain right now. But I like those bombers and those straight bombers down the bottom of the board. Tristy Law 80-1. I like that.
Yeah, and what I'll say is too, like I agree with you that this is your classic desert course. We've got double desert courses this week. They're somewhat kind of similar. Wow. If you can nuke it long and straight down the middle, then it's just like how close can you hit your approaches and make a ton of putts. However, every now and then at this tournament too, a guy like Blandy will pop up. Any guy who can just get like unconscious with the flat stick and is keeping it in play off the tee also can mix at the.
Did Blandy? Was this Blandy and Vic? Or was that a different event?
And Vic's a perfect example of a striper type of guy who plays good at this course. Like it is definitely a ball striking course, but just like any course, you can survive if you just get whites out with the flat stick. With that said, I'm looking at who's playing here. I'm not going to bet him, but shout out to Akshay being in the field. I like that Akshay's come over here.
Probably vacation.
Very vacation from Akshay, but I saw he posted. I'll keep people up to date in the Discord on what he's posted on Instagram. He posted a photo it was last night, which is this morning in Dubai, and he looked absolutely thrilled to be in Dubai. But I'm sure he is splashing some cash for the fiance while he's over there in Dubai. Can't blame him for that. Tommy Peets is back on the DP, and how many times do we have to say it? When Tommy Peets plays the DP, when Tommy Peets plays the DP, he's great. He doesn't care about live. Tommy Dietz in the 60s or 70s, he's on the card for me.
Yeah,
without question.
Tommy Peets. You said Dietz right there.
Sorry, Tommy Peets.
Because it's a massive difference. Massive difference.
Sizable difference there. But yes, Tommy Peets. You give me a big number on Tommy Peets on the DP. Want to know who can stripe
first ever DP winner, Tommy Peets.
Easy. Ryan Fox, 100-1.
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, we'll have cards up for the DP. We got to talk about that, but we'll cover the DP. We'll let Vincent take a stab at the DP. Maybe AI is what's needed to hit winners on the DP because
I might fully tail Vincent AI DP this year. I don't know. I don't even know how I want to sweat DP.
You've had enough time off from the DP. I think it's time to get back.
Billy Horschel absolutely ripped the DP out of me.
And that's what brought me back to the DP. I had left the DP. You were doing the DP, and then I came back that week, and it flipped because Billy Ho won, defeating Rory, and you quit. And then I decided to recommit. I haven't come close to hitting a winner on the DP since because it's impossible. But I think
on the DP, you need to build the AI model to variance 500x. Just absolutely explode the variance level. So then I'll be in.
That's actually a good call because when I make the models and I'm talking to the AI, it's always like, what variance, like how random. I'm like, yeah, for the DP, I'm going to say like the highest level of randomness and then increase that by another 500%. So we'll, like I said, we're doing the outright contest on the PGA. Maybe we do it on the DP too, but I'll probably do I think I'll do 12x cards this year on the DP. I think that's the only path is deep down the board, high X cards, and try to hit 3 winners on the DP. That'll be my goal for the year.
All right, let's handshake on that. Let's do DP content all year. We'll do no more. You can do whatever you want, but no more than.
Yeah, we'll just. At the end of the day, with the outright contest, it's you can do whatever you want. You could do 2x every week if you really want to. You'd obviously, it's probably not going to work, but that's the possibility. But yeah, for DP, my tactics are going to be play for miracles. Try to hit 2 20x cards and hope to get over the line that way. So yeah, we'll have DP. We'll compete there. We'll get Vincent involved. We'll obviously have a model and a quick short course preview on the DP as we tend to do. Jert's been tremendous. We've got to figure out boots. Next event planned boots was Riv. Obviously, our heart goes out to everybody dealing with that situation down in LA. Obviously, a terrible situation there. I attended I mean, we'll see what happens. I strongly would be very surprised if they play the tournament at Riviera. There's been rumors of 2 weeks at TPC Scottsdale. So we're going to do a February Boots. There's going to be a February event that is Boots. I'm going to try to get there as well. We're going to try to do Team Boots while golf remains out west. We just don't know where that's going to be yet, but obviously we'll let everybody know. And like I said, thoughts and prayers with the people down in LA who are facing a tough time there. And hopefully golf obviously doesn't matter, but if they can find a way to play at Riviera, then obviously we'll go down there and see what's happening. But Jers, great job the first couple weeks at Boots. Hard work. Didn't quite pay off from an outright perspective, but I think some good placement, some good DFS stuff. One stroke away from spawn. Let's hit a winner this week, whether it's on the DP, whether it's on the PGA Tour. Let's get after it, Jers. Thank you very much.
Great show.